What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Sylvester. Today is a very special day because I will be covering some of my goals for the next couple of years. I'll also share in more detail what I see coming down the pipeline for both this channel and how I see myself achieving financial independence and a couple other really fun things. So with that, let's jump right in. Alright, so I actually want to achieve two things. I want to achieve financial independence and I want to become a venture capitalist. And I've wanted to become these things for quite a while now. But let me go ahead and briefly define those terms a little bit for you guys. So financial independence is the status of having enough income to pay living expenses for the rest of one's life without having to be employed or dependent on others. A venture capitalist, or VC, is a private equity investor that provides capital to companies exhibiting high growth potential in exchange for an equity stake, and this could be funding startup ventures or supporting small companies. But these type of investors specialize in high risk, high return, high yield investments. So because of this, venture capitalists are willing to take a lot more risk with investing, but at the same time they really don't want to lose their capital. I don't think anybody really wants to lose their capital. So they do this in a way that's kind of unconventional that a lot of people don't really think about sometimes. So when I was first learning about the term venture capital, I was about 12 years old, and nobody in my schools really taught me how to become a venture capital. Like, I would go to class and I would see, the teachers teaching, but they didn't really teach me where I wanted to go in life, and I was kind of disappointed with that. So I therefore began to read, and 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 read. In fact, when I was young, my parents used to take my two younger siblings and I to the local library, and we would check out about 20 books a week because that was the limit at that time. And we would go home and we would read every last one of those books. And at the end of the week, we'd go back and we'd rent out 20 more books. And we kept doing that week upon week upon week upon week. And in this way, we covered a ton of books. In fact, we covered so many books that I can't even remember all the books that I've read. I've not only read books, but I've read magazines, podcasts, audiobooks, watched documentaries, read magazine articles on the subject, as much stuff as I could find regarding venture capitalism and financial independence. So as I listened to more and more material on becoming a venture capitalist, a plan slowly began to form in my brain. But it was just an idea. I hadn't written it down anywhere. So with that, one day my mom said that I should write it down. So I did. So what I did is I went ahead and I got out a big brown roll of paper. I rolled this thing out. I got out some pens like here and here. And I went ahead and started writing down on paper exactly like this my plan for the next coming years. Now this plan was very, very rough. In fact, let me go ahead and put some footage in or some pictures of my actual plan that I came up with back then. So the point here is, it was terribly, terribly rough, and I was absolutely terrible at calculations. I made many, many mathematical errors and grammatical errors, but here's the important thing. It was a start. So now fast forward to my senior year in college. And typically at the end of college, they have what's called a senior project class. And in this class, all the students are required to work on a project for the entire quarter. There were not very many requirements to this, but one of the requirements is that it had to be out of the box, it had to be interesting, and it had to be useful somehow. So I decided to do mine on how to get rich. Of course, then the teacher told me that's way too broad and that won't work and any of that kind of stuff. So what I did is I went ahead and I changed the title over from How to Get Rich to How to Invest in Cash Flowing Rental Properties. So for the next quarter, I built a strategy to become financially independent through cash flowing rental properties. At the end of that quarter, I went ahead and presented what I had found, all of my research and data and everything, to my teachers and classmates. In fact, my teachers absolutely loved it. They said, "Best of luck." But that was hands down one of my favorite classes at community college because it taught me to think, and it was really fun because I got to come up with the stuff that went inside that plan. So fast forward a couple of months now. After I graduated college, I went back and I looked at my plan, and I realized that in getting into cash flowing rental properties, that required about an investment of $50,000 up front. This brings me to today. Today I'm going to tell you the revised standard version of my plan. So I will be taking a three-pronged approach. Number one, I will be getting a job hopefully within the next 3 months or so. This will give me a steady cash flow coming in every month. It'll also provide startup capital for businesses or ventures later on. Secondly, I will be starting an online business, which I will be getting into later on this channel, perhaps even next week or the week after. So stay tuned for that. Thirdly, I will be using this YouTube channel to kind of share my journey with everything going along the way. So those are my 3 specific goals from here going forward. My financial goals going forward are kind of twofold, and these are very, very simple, but they serve as kind of a base for everything else to be built on. I would like to be a millionaire by 25, and I would like to become financially independent or retire, basically, at about the same time. Now there is much, much more in the pipeline, but that is the brief version of my plan. In coming videos, I will be going much more into depth as what steps I will be taking to get there, and starting next week, I will be kind of dialoguing and diagramming out how all that stuff will work. So stay tuned for that. But that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is I wanted to show you how I went ahead and planned my goals so that I could keep track of which ones I wanted to do and to constantly remind myself how I was going to accomplish those goals. So we have just passed the beginning of the year. Many of you are making New Year's resolutions. And what I want to encourage each of you to do is to write out a plan for your life over the next 5 to 10 years, somewhere in there. Now this is a very, very large plan, and some of you may say, well, it's too broad. I don't know all of the plans that I have going on or whatever. That doesn't matter. What does matter is that you get your plan, your big plan, even if it's a rough draft, down on paper or down on Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel or Google Drive or whatever it may be. So I use simple brown paper, and for the refined version that I did at the end of college, I used primarily Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel, and those are pretty simple programs, and I know a lot of people have them. So having a plan for success is absolutely crucial because it helps you from this time going forward to know where you're going and why you're going there. If you do not know where you're going, it's very, very easy to get lost along the way. So I would encourage you, go ahead, write those plans, and get your big picture for the next 1 to 5 to 10 years, somewhere in there you want a long-term planned out. In summary, make a plan, work your plan. Alright, that's all for this week. Like this video if you do, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll catch you in the next video.